We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the Manumit podcast here from Jabez Financial at jabezfinancial.com. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull, but the gentleman who named this podcast, who founded Jabez Financial and is our registered investment advisor, he is Glenn Johnson, holding Uncasville, Connecticut down here as we thaw out into spring. And we're recording on a Friday, Glenn, and I bet you are not one of those people that goes, "Oh, it's Friday, it must be great." I bet you're more on the everyday is great route.
I am absolutely on the everyday is great route. And that's so funny. And that's why I have so much fun, and I thoroughly enjoy doing what we're doing here at Jabez Financial, and the work we do through Manumit United is because here what we're doing is fun. I was explaining this to a client the other day that we're building something here that I don't look forward to retiring from. You're either going to have a job where you're just like, all right, I'm going to work my tail off so I don't have to do this anymore. Whereas here, I want to build something that life continues to get better that I don't want to retire from.
That's incredible. And it's that same drive that had you build a podcast studio in the office that people could come in at. You're not just sitting at your desk rolling, with a mic doing a podcast. It's the same drive, and we're going to talk about it later in the show, that has you building property for Manumit United and a Manumit Fair coming up. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. The same drive that you just got done doing dinner seminars at Tony D's, not too far from the office. So it really, folks, if you want to just get a contact positive here, okay? Contact positive. I'm not trying to be too rough around the edges, but go to jabezfinancial.com. You can just come in and say hi to Glenn and the team, or you can actually schedule an appointment and have a little complimentary talk and see if maybe that's the right situation for you to help you dig through, or not dig through, but plan your financial and retirement future. Dial them up, 860-390-0093. Now, last episode, hey, it takes self-starting to get this process going. All right, last episode we talked about basically who's responsible for your own success. A lot of times you look to your parents for a lot of your life, or you've been too busy caring about your kids, but who's looking after you? So check out 4 or 5 really great pillars that Glenn shared in the past show. You can find those at Apple, Spotify, and the podcast page at jabezfinancial.com. Some of the other podcatchers too. And if you heard something you like in any of these shows, we've got over 20 of them now, 25 of them in the can, 26 in the can. Be sure to send the link to someone you know. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Make sure people know about it. Today, we're going to get into the doom and gloom that we've been hearing about tariffs. And we just already told you this is a no storm cloud zone right here. We have a positive time on the Manumit podcast, even when we're talking about heavy and difficult subjects. Here's maybe some of what you have been hearing if you've been watching or listening to the news.
Everything's kind of moving in the wrong direction. The orders contracting, employment contracting, and prices increasing.
Everything about this economy is good. Everything, except one thing. We have a president who's very angry at everyone, and his wrath has made investors so downcast and so negative that people have just given up.
I don't want to be alarmist. This is not necessarily going to snowball into a recession in 6 months, but why would you be doing this in the first place?
So the tariffs deal, Liberation Day, as it was called.
That's right.
Was out a couple of days before we recorded here on this show. We're recording on April the 4th. You're hearing this toward the end of the month, possibly, or later. And, of course, a lot of alarm because there's worry about prices going up on things, which very well could happen. There's worry about what the dollar power will be elsewhere. And you have a take on it, Glenn, that might help people level set just a little bit.
Right. Now, with the decline in the market that we've seen, the big ones were yesterday and today. As you said, we're recording on April 4th. Yes, those are due because of the panic that people are having because of the tariffs. That's true. Now, are the tariffs, is this an indication that the market's going to be crashing in a long-term decline? No, it's not because of the tariffs. However, that doesn't mean it's still not going to happen. You've got long-term situation and a short-term situation. The long-term situation is that the market has been way overpriced for way too long because of the Federal Reserve injecting so much cash into the market. Starting back in 2009, when this long bull run started, they started with a quantitative easing in 2009 and kept up with QE1, QE2, QE3, QE4. Then after COVID, they started mailing people checks, literally. So the Federal Reserve and their overcompensation because of COVID, they created this fabricated long-term bull run. That is where the market needs to be corrected. So there's the long-term scenario. The short-term, in addition to that, is the tariffs. Now, the tariffs is a battle that has to be fought because it's kind of like a bully. You know, we see the charts come out now, what one country is, what percentage they put a tariff on us versus what we put a tariff on them. There's a handful of countries that we charge them 10%, they charge us 10%. Fine, that's fair and equitable. But there's many of these countries, many of these places, they charge us multiple times more than what we charge them. That's not fair and equitable. And so in order to get to a place where things are fair, it kind of has to come with this, like addressing a bully. We've been getting beat up. We've been taking it on the chin. Why have we been able to take it on why have we been taking it on the chin? Because we've been big enough to. We've been able to handle it. The United States is such an economic superpower that, yeah, somebody can be jabbing us in the side and we don't even feel it because we're so much stronger. And America is so much stronger than the rest of the world. But that still doesn't mean we need to be keeping these thorns continuing to be jabbed at us and these punches thrown at us. So this is where, with the tariffs that's taking place, we're kind of standing our ground and saying, well, you know what? This isn't right. And in the meantime, the rest of the world is going to be in a panic. And then that sends the consumers here in the United States into a tailspin. And so everyone's in this state of panic. But in actuality, it's the medicine that is needed to get healthy. We don't like it. We don't like the process, but we have to get to a place where the economy is fair and equitable.
For sure. And that makes a lot of sense. Just like in anything in life, there's a pain to get gain a lot of times. And maybe it's just, it was time for, a setback, so to speak, to be able to get on the right side of things. And, hopefully calmer heads will prevail. And they often do, usually after a period of freaking out, so to speak. So where does the economy need to end up then? So let's say that a lot of this tariff stuff sticks. I know a lot of it is a negotiating tool. Already countries are starting to counter with, I'll ease up on this. Some of them are countering with even harder measures too. So where do you think the goal is to try to end up for the economy?
Right. The place to end up is ultimately a win-win situation.
Okay.
Now, just like there's win-wins, there's also lose-loses. And so really through the negotiations with the tariffs and the advantages of producing more goods and services domestically, the ultimate goal is we become stronger as a nation, and we also don't become targets to the rest of the world and have our wealth that we've created here become just a slush fund for the rest of the world. But we also want to enable other countries to get stronger themselves by being able to stand on their own 2 feet.
I see.
And this is where sometimes if we pull back support for another country, in a way, we're helping them, because if you can do something for someone that they can do for themselves, you are now increasing their dependency and weakening them. So this is where it becomes win-win, not just domestically, but abroad as well, because other countries will be stronger as they learn and develop the skills necessary to stand on their own 2 feet. And we're not taking it on the chin here financially at home.
So we're in a corrective phase here, and ultimately it could be a win-win because the U.S. will have a more favorable trade balance, and because some of the countries that were dependent upon the imbalance could potentially, if they take the right action, become independent too. So that or more independent.
That's right.
Manumit, hello, the name of the Manumit podcast.
It's all about freedom.
United, you're an organization that helps network people. We'll talk about that nonprofit in just a moment. One last financial thing.
Yes.
What steps, people may have been riding the bull market here, some of them for 16 years, if you're talking about since 2009.
Yes.
They maybe exposed to extra risk. Is now the time to start looking more toward annuities, the things that are not pointed toward the market, so you're preserving the principal and not getting hit too badly by what is an inevitable downside? There
are so many alternatives to just keeping your same old equities portfolio. It's kind of like as much as the market's been manipulated from the Federal Reserve, it's kind of like you took your dollars, you went to the casino, you gambled, and you won.
Yeah.
Okay. Walk away from the table. You don't, like I said, when people say the account went down in value and they say, oh, it's only a paper loss. Well, if it goes up and you didn't sell it, it was only a paper gain. that case.
Oh, that's a great point.
So realize the gains. And that's to say, now there's options that people have where you can make money on the way down. You can profit from the decline. Or you could look for alternatives to see, well, what kind of guaranteed return can you get over the next couple of years as the market gets into a healthy place? So let's earn as much as we can securely, responsibly, safely, while the market corrects over the next couple of years, and then be repositioned to ride it back up. Because once the United States becomes more financially healthy and more financially responsible, even the rest of the world becomes more financially responsible and can stand on their own 2 feet more efficiently without us bailing them out for everything. Then at that point, then you could put together a more diversified portfolio, even more equities, domestic and international, and ride it all the way back up again. But there has to be some house cleaning. Some businesses that need to go out of business and make room for those that are innovative, and make room for those that are providing goods and services that meet people's needs directly, and not just these businesses that are just trying to milk things off the top.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if somebody wants to have the conversation, maybe about retooling that financial plan and looking at what the last episode you talked about, what do you want your next 5 years to look like? Maybe they want to recomposite of what their next 5 years look like. How do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to do it?
Best way is picking up the phone call and making a call. That's the best way to do it.
For sure.
Remember when phones were used for phone calls?
I vaguely remember that. Yes. Okay. I was doing a trivia show the other day, and I wanted to know because it was a question about when the iPad came out, and some people had guessed iPhone for the answer. And I looked up, it was June the 29th, 2007, when the smartphone game really changed. And before that, it was BlackBerries too. So yeah, it's been over 20 years since we've been in the smartphone era, really.
Well, so, I make the point at the seminars, because I'm 50 now, and being a Generation Xer, mine is the last generation to know what it's like to grow up without the internet and cell phones.
Yeah, my generation grew up as those were really becoming widely popular, for sure. So the way to dial, because you're saying picking up the phone, that's a great way to do it. Schedule that complimentary call with Glenn and the team, 860-390-0093, or go to jbezfinancial.com, click the contact button. You can schedule a meeting right there, and Glenn and the JBez Financial team will be in touch. First phone call, it's complimentary. It's get to know you. See which directions you want to go, and then really it takes a couple more meetings to actually start going, okay, here's this statement and here's this, and let's put money in this fund and take money out of there. So we're not going straight to dessert. You got to have appetizers and dinner first. All right, so let's get the appetizer going. Complimentary phone call, a metaphorical appetizer. I'm not giving away free food here on the Manumit podcast. 860-390-0093. All right, before we get going today, Glenn, you're really proud of a couple things. Like, you've co-authored a chapter, or you've authored a chapter in a book co-authored by Les Brown called The Motivation Manifesto. People could buy that book on jbezfinancial.com. But also, too, the nonprofit you run that helps network people and help them become more independent or get in the mindset of such is called Manumit United. And you've got something big going on May the 17th with Manumit United at a new space.
Yeah. Well, I have what we now call the Manumit Freedom Farm in Oakdale, Connecticut. And this is a 23-plus acre piece of land that I purchased. And we have a spot way up in the woods where we have a nice clearing and a nice field where we can have cookouts, target shooting, four-wheeling rides, of a 9-hole disc golf course that I put in there.
All right.
Yeah. So we have a couple events coming up. One, through my church, MRC, or Merciful Redemption Church in Groton, we're having what we call a prayer fair on May 17th in the morning. And that's something where people can come, pray, hear from God, and find out where they need to grow, and actually get answers where it comes to their faith, family, friends, fitness, and finances. So we're able to use the Manumit Freedom Farm for that. And we're also able to, on Independence Day, we're going to have an Independence Day celebration, celebrate freedom
Nice.
up there. So we'll have a couple of grills, and we'll have a cookout and games and yard games and fireworks at night. It'll be a fantastic family event.
So on the Manumit Freedom Farm, your church is having the prayer fair on May 17th. And then there's also going to be a July 4th Independence Day cookout event too. If people want to attend this and learn more about it, I know this isn't directly plugged into your practice, so to speak here.
Right.
But what's the best way if they live in the area? I mean, we may not be traveling from Georgia or Kentucky to come, but if they're in the area and want to go, what do they do?
Well, give my office a call, because this is extended to friends and family, and
Sure.
So what I'd like to do is hear from you. And it'd be a good idea, because we want to have an idea of how many people are coming, but we know we're going to have a fantastic time, and it's there to share.
I love it. I love it. Pay it forward. You've had a lot of success, Glenn. A lot of things go well for you, and just that positive attitude. Pay it forward. Shine and spread the light there. Call the office if you're interested in coming to either the prayer fair, May 17th, at the Manumit Freedom Farm there, which is a great event out in the woods in that clearing space, or on July 4th Independence Day event. Hey, it's always good to lock up some July 4th plans early, okay? So you can just enjoy the day. 860-390-0093, and you can go to jbezfinancial.com. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for giving us some calm, or some perspective, if you will, about the market, and for sharing everything here, making time for us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. He is Glenn Johnson, the founder of Jabez Financial, your registered investment advisor. We thank Glenn. We thank Daniel Salerson, our producer, for putting this all together and getting it published, and to all of you for listening. For Glenn, I'm Doug. This is the Manumit Podcast. We'll be back with you here soon. Have a great day.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Glenn Johnson Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.